भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्म विद्या संप्रदाय कर्तृभ्यो वंश ऋषिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। सर्वोपप्लवरहितः प्रज्ञानघनः प्रत्यगर्थो ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि। ओम शांति शांति शांति। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। मंत्र नंबर 6। यस्तु सर्वाणि भूतानि यस्तु सर्वाणि भूतानि आत्मन्येवानुपश्यति आत्मन्येवानुपश्यति। सर्वेषु भूतेषु चात्मानं सर्वेषु भूतेषु चात्मानं ततो न विजुगुप्सते ततो न विजुगुप्सते। यस्तु सर्वाणि भूतानि आत्मन्येवानुपश्यति यस्तु सर्वाणि भूतानि आत्मन्येवानुपश्यति। सर्वभूतेषु चात्मानं ततो न विजुगुप्सते सर्वभूतेषु चात्मानं ततो न विजुगुप्सते। नेक्स्ट मंत्र। यस्मिन् सर्वाणि भूतानि आत्मैवाभूद्विजानतः आत्मैवाभूद्विजानतः। तत्र को मोहः कः शोकः तत्र को मोहः कः शोकः। एकत्वमनुपश्यतः एकत्वमनुपश्यतः। यस्मिन् सर्वाणि भूतानि आत्मैवाभूद्विजानतः यस्मिन् सर्वाणि भूतानि आत्मैवाभूद्विजानतः। तत्र कः मोहः कः शोकः तत्र को मोहः कः शोकः। एकत्वमनुपश्यतः एकत्वमनुपश्यतः। तत्र को मोहः कः शोकः। एकत्वमनुपश्यतः। तत्र को मोहः कः शोकः। एकत्वमनुपश्यतः। यस्मिन् सर्वाणि भूतानि आत्मा एव अभूत् इति विजानतः तत्र को मोहः कः शोकः। तस्मात् कारणात् नास्ति एकत्वम् अनुपश्यतः। This is the prose order in Sanskrit. यस्मिन् sarvani bhutani, when or to a given person, sarvani bhutani atmaiva abhut, when the all beings are non-separate from the self, or the all beings are mithya, recognized as mithya, iti vijanataha, when one knows this, ko moha, ko shokaha, where is the delusion? Where is moha means delusion, and where is the grief? Why? Where is means there is no grief and no delusion. Why? Ekatvam anupashyataha. Since he or she sees the oneness, he or she sees the non-dual self, and therefore there is no moha and no shoka. In a way, if you look at this mantra and compare it with the previous mantra, by and large the same thing has been repeated. Why? In the previous mantra, yastu sarvani bhutani atmanyeva anupashyati, one who sees all beings in the self, or for one whose all beings are within the self, same thing. Why there is a repetition? So there is a reason. Shankaracharya ji writes, ati gahanasya tattvasya झटिति एव बुद्धि आरोह अभावम अभिप्रेत्य. It is the truth or the vastu. It's so subtle. It's so profound that one cannot comprehend so quickly, so easily. And therefore, there is a repetition. Okay? And here the word yasmin. Yasmin means into which, into whom. That indicates two things. For yasmin, for that seeker, or for that wise man. Both. One who was a seeker, and when he discovers this fact about himself, for that seeker, or for a wise person. Why this is said yasmin, when? Because adhikari evam gnani daurlabhyat. It is very, very rare thing to find a seeker and to have a wise person. Okay? Why it is rare thing? Because in Gita, Bhagavan says, in your Kathopanishad also, there is a mantra, Ashcharyavat pashyati kaschidenam, Ashcharyavat vadati tathaiva chanya. Ashcharyavat cha enam anyah shrunoti, Shrutvapi vedana chaiva kaschit. It's just wonder. The nature of the human being, or the very beginning of the life, is such that we start our life with a promoter's capital called ignorance. That is a basic thing. And that ignorance has created, it is not simply not knowing the thing. I have told again and again, when we say ignorance, especially when we talk, or anybody, any Mahatma talks about self-ignorance, it is not simply not knowing, it is knowing otherwise. It is not simple case of non-apprehending something. Non-apprehension caused misapprehension is there. And this misapprehension or error is so confounded, is so, you can say, solidified, that person cannot accept this, cannot think that I have to correct myself. Everybody thinks I know myself. you know. And people threaten other person also, especially in India when there is some on the road some hot discussion or altercation and the threat. You know who am I? As though he knows who am I. He himself doesn't know who am I. And he asks other person, do you know who am I? So confusion. It is so confounded confusion. Yamaraja says, Vayam dhiraha panditam manyamanaha. We are the most wise person, wisest of all, and very learned also. People should listen to us. That kind of thinking. I know everything. And this is how the thing should be. That kind of conclusion they carry. In other words, in a Shastric language, they see only Artha and Kama as a Purushartha. They see only this samsara as something to be pursued or beautified or to be worked upon. They can't think beyond this perceptible world. Today, Kali Yuga, people even don't think of the life hereafter. At least previous generation always thought of next janma or going to heaven or some divya loka. People are so engrossed in worldly pleasures, so committed to artha kama, security and pleasure here and here only, that they cannot, mind is not available to think something hereafter. There is no punya karma. There is no dharma. And when there is no dharma, there is no moksha. The viparita bhavana is so strong. It is so solid that it drives them to continue in samsara. That is why you just need a grace to come across a teacher. You need a grace that you have a teacher and you have a shraddha on that given teacher. It can be vice versa. One may be looking for this knowledge, but could not find a proper teacher. And one gets a teacher, and teacher, because of shraddha upon a teacher, starts studying the Shastra. Whatever reason, it's just a grace, nothing else. And then pursue this knowledge till the vision becomes my own. It's just a grace. Something impossible has become possible. The very seeker, existence of the seeker denies the very sought, that is you. Seeker is seeking ananda. Seeker is seeking peace. Seeker is seeking fullness. And that is seeking means seeking outside, other than myself. And the fact is, it is I am that. You don't need to look around. You just need to own up yourself. So, this is very, very rare thing to happen, to indicate that, Yasmin, whenever, in whosever case, this thing has happened, this thing is possible. Bhagavan says, Manushyanam sahastreshu kaschid yadati siddha. Some rare person will pursue for moksha among thousands, among so many. And among the rarest of the rare will pursues moksha and gets the right teacher and then pursues the teaching. And again, rarest of the rare will own up this. It is why they say Maya is Vishwa Mohini, Jagan Mohini Maya. It deludes the whole world, entire creation. And then the Maya means what? That which keeps you away from the pursuit of moksha for a seeker. That which keeps you in other direction than moksha. How does Maya work? Look at it. It is a Kadhakara says this, Maya, and then They got infatuated with a woman or a man and then got into Maya. That's okay. But this is Maya. What? I give priority to something else other than my study. I spend time for something else other than the pursuit of moksha. I spend my resources for something else other than moksha, other than prayer, bhakti or moksha. That is Maya. To deviate, to miss out the goal, that is moksha. The opportunity, the gift that has been given to us, and to miss it and get diverted to something else, that is called role of Maya. Now, I have seen people getting so committed to some duty. We have to, it is our duty to bring up grandchildren, and therefore we cannot attend classes. People at the age of 70 have attachment for their factory and the business. I keep telling them, come here and stay and study and do some dharma seva, rishi seva. No, 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 Swamiji, my factory is calling me. The lady is attached to her home. I have to stay here and cook. Some excuse. This is all Maya. Anything and everything which keeps you away from the pursuit of moksha is Maya. And that happens only when your priorities are not clear and you are not committed to moksha. Tatparaha sanyatendriya. Tadeva param gamanam. That commitment missing. Therefore it says, this is all grace, You need Ishvara Krupa and then lots and lots of Ishvara Krupa to have a moksha. Again, lots and lots of Ishvara Krupa to have a competent guru who knows. And again, it is rare that you have a guru who can teach, who can communicate. Simple Paratma or Paramatma, they say Supreme Self, Divine Self. What is Supreme Divine? Limitless Self. These are all just jumbo words, and people get inspired and awe-stricken. Wow, Swamiji talk. Synonyms they talk. No communication. Teacher who knows the tradition, who can unfold the traditional way, the Shastras, is really grace. And then you need Guru Krupa all the way that I continue my study. And the Shastra teacher keeps me teaching Shastras. And I get an opportunity to do Mananam, Nididhyasanam and own up the Shastric vision that is me. Therefore it is Yasmin. To indicate this rare thing happening, it is called Yasmin. Sarvani Bhutani Atma eva Abhut. When for whom all beings have become self. Translation, some people, it is not that. What has become not that. All beings mean what? When you say Sarvani Bhutani, all beings has become only Atma. That's what they think. Then it is some samadhi, and then in samadhi you see all merging into one thing, and they all becoming self. No. All beings means what? Bhutani means all that is Bhutam, that exists. The entire existence in various forms and names is nothing but the self. Iti vijanataha. When one understands, one is understood. See, our day-to-day experience, our life perception is what? There is a triputi. There are three things. What? I, the subject, pramata, the object, Drashya and darshanam. There is a vision. You see that this is what is. And you means recognize, you know. So that is one thing. So there is three, not duality. There is a duality. Now, at the same time, the drashya, the objects known are varied. Some are drashyaha, some are shrotavyaha, something to be heard, something to be smelled, something to be felt. And in seeing also so many forms and so many colors and so many sounds and so many emotions. So it is duality, Dvaita. And the knowledge also is different according to the object of knowledge. When I see a white shirt, the knowledge is about white shirt. Here knowledge takes place, this is a white shirt. And when I see a car, there is a knowledge that this is a red car. And when I hear a horn, somebody honking behind, I realize that there is a horn. So, knowledge is varied. Object of knowledge is also varied. Sarvam Atmaiva Bhut. Everything became the self. Became the self means what? Please understand. Sarvam is a seen, what you see. What you know is non-self. I is self. Listen this. I am the self who is seer, who is knower. And what is known has to be different from the knower. That means I, self, the knower is Atma, known is Anatma, non-self. When you say all Anatmas became Atma, Atmaiva Bhut, it can never. If it is Anatma, it cannot become Atma. And if it is Atma, it cannot become Anatma. Vastu, it cannot change its nature. Whatever it is, has to be same. How it becomes one? How anatmas, which are many and varied, as though become one? It is not becoming. That they are Atma, it is discovery. What? When 100,000 ornaments becomes gold. They don't become. They were gold, they are gold, and they will be. What it is many, very many and varied, it is only Nama and Rupa. Forms and the names that we give to them, those forms. That means the duality is just on your tongue, incidental. It is not real. Duality is mithya. That there are varied and many drashyas. And because of that varied and many drashyas, knowledge is also of many-fold. To recognize that knowledge of names and form, and all the names and forms, varieties, is mithya. And what is satyam? How can you recognize this? When you see the gold. Yasmin sarvani bhutani. Yasmin, listen now, the new sentence I am making. Yasmin sarvani alankarani suvarnam eva bhut vijanata. One who knows all the ornaments. Swami is good example, good old example. 100,000 ornaments has become gold. Means he sees the ornaments, but recognize that the existence of the ornament, the easiness of the ornament is gold. It's all oneness, vision of oneness. So what is the one thing? There is a abhava. When I see a pot and then I see a cat, or then I see a car, pot goes away, cat goes away. Whatever I see, when I see a cat, the pot goes away. But when I see a car, cat goes away. But like when I see chain, bangle goes away. When I see when ring, chain and bangle both go away. But what doesn't go away? What is common in that? Gold. So Sat alone is common. So one who recognizes the whole creation, whatever is nothing but manifestation of pure existence, Sat Swarup Vastu, and that is in different names and form. And that Sat Brahma Ahamasmi. I am that Satchidatma. I am that Chidananda Rupaha. And that being a case, all beings are non-separate from me. They are me, that recognition. Now, just to please listen now, little carefully. We have some clarity about the tradition. How gifted we are. How blessed we are to be disciple in this tradition. You know, there is a mantra in Upanishad. Sadeva Saumya Idamagra Asid. Hey son, host, disciple, Agre, before the creation, Sadeva Asid. Sadeva Saumya Idamagra Asid. In all books translate, people talk. Before the creation, there was nothing but only one and one Sadeva, non-dual consciousness exists before creation. If it was so, then after creation, what? It is Sad and many? No. Now also Sadeva Asti. And after creation is dissolved, Pralaya takes place, only Sad will remain. Remember that example. 1 ton of gold formerly, before the creation of 100,000 ornament, there was only gold. And such translations are made. We think we have to dissolve the creation to see the gold. People go to meditation, meditate and realize, and they meditate what? I will see only and only. I have pure consciousness. As though there is unpure consciousness. What words? Why you say pure consciousness? Consciousness is ever pure. The creation, before the creation of name and form, there was only 1 ton of gold. And what creation has taken place? Only name and form. And therefore now also it is only 1 ton of gold. And when the creation is dissolved, pralaya takes place. Consciousness doesn't get destroyed. It is only the name and form that is dissolved or resolved. And ultimately what it is only consciousness. Sadeva Saumya Idamagra. Idamagra, look at this. This is tradition. This is the heart of Shastra. This is the real teaching. Otherwise, there is a confusion. They create not confusion, but they create confusion. Okay? There is a confusion in confusion. Okay? What is this? Before the creation, there was only pure consciousness. Before the creation of what? Nama Rupa. Only names and forms. From gold, 1 ton of gold, 100,000 ornaments are created. What actually is created is nothing but forms, and by mutual understanding we gave a new names. We call it a ring, we call it a nose ring, we call it earring, we call it bangle. Thank God there is a separate name. Here it is nose ring, here it is earring, here it is ring, and here it is all round shape. You should say hand ring, finger ring, nose ring, ear ring, all kinds of ring. And now I have seen these fellows, they have tongue ring also. Fashion, you know. There is a lip ring also. They pierce it here, and I don't know how they eat and how they live and how they sleep. But then when you say ring, it is only finger ring. But then hand ring, wrist ring, as a new name, bangle. I was wondering why like this is like that, you know. Look at all our ornaments. Oh, most of them are round and round and round. What they wear in foot is round. What is wear in finger is round. What is worn in neck is round. What is worn in the ear is round. What is worn in the nose is round. What is else? Only one shape. All round shape. Maybe Purnamada Purnamidam or Shunyamada Shunyamidam. Because the fellow is ignorant. So Shunyamada Shunyamidam. In Swamiji's language, idiot Madam Sarvamayam. Everything is idiot. So coming back to this, creation is only of the forms. And we mutually agreed this ring is this something to be worn on fingers. Ring is something, a bangle is something to be worn on the wrist. Like that we mutually agreed. That's it. Before creation there was only gold. Now also is only gold. Why? There is no really creation. There is manifestation in different names and form. That is why we can say Ishavasyam idam. That's why we can say Suvarnavasyam sarvam 100,000 ornaments. Why Suvarnavasyam? You have to see them as gold. You have to recognize them as something non-separate from gold. Therefore, the Shruti says, Yasmin sarvani bhutani atmaiva bhut vijanatah. Please understand, all beings, all that is created, that so-called all is only name and form. Just forms, nothing else. Whatever is created is non-separate from the creator, the Vastu Brahman, Sila Satchida or Chidananda Rupa Shivoham, that is non-separate from it. And therefore, before also it was one consciousness, non-dual Satchidatma. Now also non-dual Satchidatma. When the creation is destroyed, then also Satchidatma. And this Satchidatma is what? Ananta, Purna, not lacking, full. And therefore this mantra, Purnamadaha, Purnamidam. Purnat Purnamudachyate. That was full, that is full. This is also full. And when you remove the full from the full, what remains? Nothing but full. Purnat Purnamudachyate. Purnasya Purnamadaya. Purnamevava Shishyate. What is left out is also Purna. Anywhere. So, that is never a case everything becomes self. Everything doesn't become self. Abhut word is in the sense of recognition. Recognition. That's when one recognizes all that beings as the self. Which self? Not this physio-psycho-complex self. The self which is Satchidananda. The self which is pure existence. The self which is consciousness. And nothing is separate from this Satchidatma. And that means I. And that is Vijanana. When one knows, when one has understood, or one sees Atma as non-separate from Atma, then it says, Tatra ko mohakka shokaha ekatvam anupashyata. And there is, for that person, there is a question of delusion, moha. And where is the question of shoka, grief in his or life? Tatra ko moha ko shokaha atmaiva bhut vijanata. That vijanata is very important. Earlier we said in the previous mantra also similar statement is anupashyati. Then we gave the meaning anu. Shastra acharya upadeshat anupashyati. Following the teachings of a guru who teaches Shastra, and then one sees. Here, Vijanataha means what? Janataha, one who knows. Vijanataha, the V prefix has a separate meaning. Vijanataha means Vivichya Janataha. One who's separating something means discriminative knowledge or separating something. Why discriminative knowledge? Earlier we have discussed this. In detail. And today I just mentioned self-ignorance is self-misapprehension, taking non-self as the self. The non-self has as though encroached the self, as though overpossessed the self. That means I take anatma as atma. What is anatma? What is that anatma which take as atma? Whole world is anatma, non-self. Beginning from North Pole and South Pole and Eskimo onwards. Beginning from Donald Trump and all these fellows. They are all anatmas. But I don't take them as atma, thank God. It's a grace. Some people take them atma and they argue it out about them. And they say this reporter, somebody, they're in Republican conventions. Naturally, people who believe in Republican Party would believe in Donald. So then this reporter, when pastor comes and he says this, Donald is a real Christian and blah, 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 he shouts and he hypes the religious sentiments of the people. And this reporter goes and tells, they know how to corner and how to bring things out, Sir, your speech was excellent and you very nicely replied. He said, do you think Donald is a great Christian? Yeah, he's a great devout Christian. And then he said, what is a marriage vows for the Christianity? Be faithful unto death to one. He has married 3. No, but still he is devout Christian. It is said, as long as you are married, you should be devout. Interpretation. Like that, those fellows who owned up Donald Trump as Atma were cornered. So thank God we don't take that anatma as Atma. Coming back to this, under the scheme, anatma is taken as Atma. Vivichya means discrimination. That what this physio-psycho complex is not I. Annamaya Koshaha, Pranamaya Koshaha, Manomaya Kosha is not me. I am separate from it. And then seeing the self as a Sakshi. I see myself as a Sakshi, that is Vivicya. That is what it is, Vijanataha. And then saying that Sakshya, what is seen, is not separate from I, the seer. That is Vijaya. Means seeing the gold in spite of seeing ornaments. Description. An ignorant person, it is so infatuated with the name and form that he or she misses out the goal. Like the example that I gave last time. You know, a typical example in India, when a girl is to get married, and then they buy gold and ornaments and all that, and they go for shopping. Only one young lady is getting married, but three persons go for shopping when it is gold. Other than gold shopping, only two go. Two persons. Who are the three? One, the girl. Second, her mother. And third, her grandmother. For gold purchase, about the gold and ornaments. For clothing, sometimes she alone goes and sometimes mother goes with her. And all the three have different jobs. This girl or the lady is only interested in design. This heroine wore this design in this movie, hit movie. This is a hit design, and she selects the ornament on the basis of design. Her mother selects the ornament on the basis of the payment to be made. How much costly it is. So first preliminary approval is from the girl. Secondary approval is from the mother that it is in the budget. And that granny, who cannot see otherwise very clearly, has some hazy eyesight and all that. And the ornament is given to her and she looks at, and they have non-verbal communication. Understand? What is non-verbal communication? Gesture, she says yes and no. And that means she sees only the gold part of it. This is yes. As written, this is 20 karat gold. As written, this is gold. That's all she sees. She is least interested in the budget and least interested in the design. But she still sees the form, the design. She still asks the mother how much, his daughter-in-law. But then focus is on gold. That is Vijanataha, Vivich, discriminating the gold. They are as though mixed up, apparently mixed up. And discrimination. That discrimination is not physical, it is purely cognitive. Vedanta is all the way cognitive. Shastra is all the way cognitive. And for this person, ko moha ka shokaha, meaning when he or she has changed the cognition, there is no grief, there is no delusion. Meaning thereby, we are talking about the fundamentals. We are talking about the realities. Whole life is full of grief. Human life is full of grief. And the cause of grief is what? My destiny, my husband or a wife, my son or a daughter, my office, my work, my boss, my subordinate, And if nobody else is there, at least Donald Trump is available to feel grief. You know, I have seen people feeling so ashamed and feeling a sense of wretchedness that I live in a country where Donald is a president. Right? That's a samashti prarabdha. Accept it. It is not your own individual prarabdha. Samashti is there. And there are some superior people than Donald Trump in the world. You have not met them. And you have not studied the global politics. They are everywhere. It's okay. Take it easy. Try your best to change. Now you have an opportunity if you want to. But then we have infinite reasons to grieve. The other day, I think Asim liked the tweet and he commented on my tweet. I tweeted, hardly I get time nowadays, that there are nth number of reasons to feel unhappy, to feel incomplete. That's a human life. Infinite reasons. And at the same time, there are enough reasons to be happy. You have to change cognitive. And we are so great, as I said, I have said this earlier, we have enough reasons to feel unhappy, but we keep meditating on those reasons. So we create a dukkham out of dukkham by remembering them, by repeatedly brooding over them. That's how the life is miserable. This moha and shoka is product of self-ignorance. Vidyajanya. Ignorance is not perceptible. What is the perceptible effect of ignorance is shoka, which is born out of moha. Moha also is not seen, but you can infer, and you can, and because of moha, you can infer the ignorance. Okay? Arjuna had the same problem. The teachings of Gita ji began because Arjuna said, Pruchhami tvam dharma sammuda chetaha moha. I am deluded. And delusion invariably will result in shoka, grief. What is grief? In fact, what is moha? You know, moha brings dukkham. Misapprehension can be termed as moha. Taking myself to be physio-psycho-complex is a fundamental moha, illusion. Taking myself to be limited, unhappy is moha. That being against my nature is non-acceptable to me, and therefore I have to work to get rid of limitations. And there is a struggle, and every time I don't succeed, there is a failure, or there is apprehension of failure, that is shoka, grief. Unpleasant things also brings about grief sometimes. So, the shoka moha, or moha shoka, is purely cause of ignorance. Arjuna had a shoka moha, born out of conflict. Conflict was born out of moha. And look at this. Lord did not change anything outside. Though he could have. Krishna was Bhagavan, Sarva Shaktiman, omnipotent and omniscient. It was easy for him to change the world outside, which he did quite often in the past and while in the Mahabharata. Some of you may know the story. He just created a sense that it is now evening is over, and suddenly sun came back. Like that, so many things he did it. He could have done it, but he didn't do anything to remove this grief of Arjuna. The first chapter is Arjuna Vishada Yoga. There is Arjuna who is grieving. He didn't change any external situation. He just gave him the vision. He just talked about the realities, Brahma Vidya and Yoga Shastra. And Arjuna became free from grief. Karishye vachanam tava. I shall do what you want me to do. Or what is to be done, I shall do that. Arjuna fought the battle. External situation remaining same, Arjuna became free from grief because his delusion, situational delusion, the fundamental moha is Dehatma Buddhi. And then there is a Dharma Adharma moha caused by this Dehatma moha. And that was removed and Arjuna fought it. So also in life, there are conflicts. Any conflict, remember, is caused by moha, incapacity to be objective. In Vyavahara, when we say moha, moha means subjectivity. To the sin or emotiveness, I would say. When you view the situation emotionally, when you have emotional issues with some person, another some situation, some vastu, then there is conflict. And that conflict often results into grief. So any conflict, if you analyze it, ultimately it reduces to our values, our delusion, our improper thinking, improper attitudes, improper values, improper importance that we give to things and beings and people, improper ideals that we impose upon ourselves. As an ideal boss, I have to do this. As an ideal subordinate or employee, I have to do this. As an ideal husband or a wife, I have to do this. As an ideal son or a daughter or a mother, I have to do this. And that idealist fellow gets into conflict because doesn't see the other side of the picture, doesn't see the other side of the personality of the person with whom he or she lives with, and that creates conflict. You have to be objective. Second level of moha is lack of objectivity. That moha is caused by first level of moha, fundamental moha, that is Dehatma Buddhi. Taking myself to be physio-psycho-complex. When there is a question of ideal son and ideal professional and ideal husband and ideal wife, etc., that husband and wife and professional is nothing but physio-psycho-complex. Taking myself to be that physio-psycho-complex, second level moha, and that first level is it is first level moha. Second is seeing the objects emotionally. And all that is caused by ignorance. And when that is gone, first or second level delusion is gone, there is no question of grief in life. Arjuna says, Nashto moha smruti labdha karishye vachanam tava. I shall do what is to be done. delusion is gone. That is gone because Lord taught him the self-knowledge. And therefore he says, Ko mohaha, ko shoka. Where is the moha and shoka for this person who sees ekatvam anupashyata? One who sees oneness, one who negates the names and the form, one who sees beyond the name and the form. When one is infatuated with the name and form, the design, and the design ornament which was worn by such and such actors or actress, that infatuation or delusion deprives me from seeing the truth which is there as a substratum of this delusion. And when that is removed, there is no moha, no shoka. Why? Ekatvam anupashyataha. He sees one vastu only in all beings and in all vastu, that which is, whatever it is because of Satchidananda Atma, and that is myself. Becomes free from delusion and grief. There may be pain in a wise person's life, understand? There is no grief in the life. We will discuss something more next mantra in the next class. That again happens to be 3rd of October. I think we will have the class. Okay. I may have to travel on 2nd October. Shanti, shanti, shanti.